Sonic Classic Heroes is awesome! I don't really review ROM hacks or fan games often, but this is one that I've been playing lately to get me hyped for Sonic Mania, and I've really been loving it. I can legitimately say that this fan-made effort is probably the definitive way to play Sonic 1 or 2. So come on today's video is I tell you why you should play Sonic Classic Heroes for the Sega Genesis. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stuff We Play, your source for everything weird, adventurous, and retro. If that sounds cool to you, why not subscribe? Now before we get started on today's video, let me tell you about our sponsors at crapbymail.com. Surprise your friends by anonymously sending them a box of chocolate poops, or don't send them anonymously. A great gift for any occasion. Get 15% off your order with the code StuffWePlay17. Sonic Classic Heroes is a game that combines the classic gameplay of Sonic 1 and 2 with the gameplay of Sonic Heroes. Now that sounds really weird. I know Sonic Heroes was a polarizing title, but hear me out on this. In a regular Sonic game, it's just you playing as Sonic, or if it's Sonic 3, you play as Sonic, Tails, or Knuckles, each with their own abilities. In this game, you take control of all three at once, complete with their sprites and abilities from Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and you can switch between them at any time by pressing the A button on the Sega Genesis controller. As always, Sonic's the fastest and has his insta-shield and can use these special shields that let him either double jump or dash forward really fast. Knuckles can glide and climb walls, and Tails can fly, and you control all three of them at once. However, along with that in this game, you can also play as Team Chaotix, who has their movesets from Knuckles Chaotix. Now, Team Chaotix here consists of Espio the Chameleon, Charmy Bee, and Mr. Find the Computer Room. In addition to the Sonic Heroes gameplay, you can also use the rubber band gameplay from Knuckles Chaotix, which means you only control two characters at once. I found this Knuckles Chaotix style game mode to be a bit glitchy. However, I should mention that Sonic Classic Heroes is still in beta, and I'm sure that this will be fixed up in future versions. However, if this team gameplay doesn't suit you can just play as any of these characters individually. I dare say that if you're going for all the Chaos Emeralds or Soul Emeralds, yes, Soul Emeralds, we'll get into that later, it may be easier to play as just one character. But the plot's pretty much simple. It's Sonic 1, followed directly by Sonic 2. Oh yes, Sonic 1 and 2 on one cartridge. This is a modification of another fan-made ROM hack called Sonic 1 and 2. It's Sonic the Hedgehog 1, but immediately after you finish Scrap Brain Zone, you go straight into Emerald Hill Zone and play through Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Along the way, in Sonic 1, you go through the 7 special stages to get the Chaos Emeralds, which allow you to become Super Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, or Super whatever, depending who you're playing as. At the same time, whenever you go past a checkpoint with 50 rings or more, you get to go through one of the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 special stages and collect the Soul Emeralds, which for those of you who are Sonic fans are the Chaos Emerald equivalent from the Sonic Rush series. And if you collect all 7 of those, they act kind of like the Super Emeralds from Sonic 3 and Knuckles and allow you to turn to Hyper Sonic and all that good stuff. And it's great fun, and it pretty much breaks the game and makes it, well, easy. The unfortunate thing about this though, I hadn't played Sonic 2 in about a year, and I'd forgotten how much I really just don't like the Sonic 2 special stages. And when you're controlling 3 characters at once, it's just a pain. Now, the actual stage designs are exactly the same as in Sonic 1 and 2. However, with this comes all the design flaws of Sonic 1 and 2's levels. For example, Metropolis Zone, more like bullshit Factory Zone. However, on the flip side, because some of these levels have the Sonic 3 power-ups scoured throughout them, zones such as Labyrinth Zone, due to the presence of the infinite breathing bubble thing power-up, have become a bit easier. Metropolis Zone still sucks though. I really hate Metropolis Zone. And one thing that Sonic Classic Heroes did that I'm not really sure if it's something it did, or if I'm just feeling that way, but when you're playing as Team Sonic, Sonic feels a bit faster here than he did in Sonic 1. Furthermore, when you're playing as Knuckles in some Sonic 1 stages such as Marble Zone, I know some secret pathways I've never noticed before. However, I don't know if those were added or if they were in Sonic 1's, but I could never reach them because I never really managed to get that high into stages. Unlike in the original Sonic 1 release, all characters can use the Spin Dash ability. Now, I think because of these things, Sonic 1 feels a lot more accessible and fast than it used to be. The only real downside I found here is that it feels a lot easier. It wasn't designed to have a spin dash, much less supersonic or the ability to play as 3 characters at once. Sonic 1 and 2 were never really particularly difficult games, but this version feels especially easier. However, if you want that original difficulty, all you have to do is just switch back to playing as just Sonic. Furthermore, I noticed that sometimes, especially when all 3 characters are in their super forms, the game can lag a bit. It doesn't happen often enough to be a deal breaker, but it does happen often enough that's definitely something that should be noted. Now, despite these small minor reservations, I think this is definitely the best version of Sonic 1 2, especially because on top of all the things I mentioned, it has a save system. It saves automatically between zones, and once you beat the game, you unlock the stage select mode, so you can go back and play whatever zone you want. I think just because of all the things I've mentioned today, that Sonic Classic Heroes is the best way to play Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2. I really enjoyed this game, and maybe I'll take a look at some more Sonic ROM hacks and fan games in the future. If there are any you'd like for me to take a look at, leave them down in the comments below, and while you're at it, why don't you subscribe to Stuff We Play for more great content. And now I also want to take a moment to mention that, hey, we recently started a Discord server. If you want to come in and join and talk or whatever, I'm going to just kind of leave a link to that in the description below and maybe even in the comments. Come on, join. It's a lot of fun. We talk about stuff. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, stay classy, and I will see you next time.